no disrespect to any religion, but if I understood Garden of Eden correctly, it was a time when we felt no shame for being naked, right? So Adam and Eve, they did not know
They
that
were not going around banging each other.
Who's to say they didn't? Another point here that they have said is around social stigma and gender politics. So some of the critics of prostitution are saying it's creating this gender inequality, it's commodifying people that are into it, and it also facilitates abuse. Oh yeah, this and that. If they legalize prostitution, the angle the government is coming from here is it will now make those things even bigger. Do you agree with this?
That's a tricky one, actually. The stigma is going to be there anyways. Me now saying I'm advocating partially for this, or at least because there's this hypocrisy that is going on with having OnlyFans and saying, oh, this is not a country where prostitution is legal. That's a mismatch, right? But then it doesn't mean that I would respect a lady that goes or that chose that, for example. I would feel like, you know what? I respect you in a way. Cool, you have to do what you have to do. Maybe respect is not the word. Then I don't want to
admire
or even be.
You don't have to like it, but every human, you get to respect. You're doing what you have to do.
Do what you have to do.
Not my cup of tea.
Exactly. Yeah. Then I don't have to admire that or feel like, oh yeah, you know what? It's a noble thing. I
want my daughter to be that.
Exactly.
Or my son.
Or get married to someone like that. So it's like, for sure, there would be. Society will still see the way, especially men from a man's perspective now, right? We'll still see the way we see it, but it makes it less dangerous for people who need to do it, is my point.
Maybe no one needs to do it, but at least for people who want to do it. Let's put it that way. If you need money, then you go and sell cold pure on the traffic. Like, why must it be prostitution?
Because it's easier.
They want to.
Yeah, they want to actually.
Yeah, exactly. You see, there's always a choice.
Yeah.
So there's never one person that needs to do it. I think when we start moving into the need to do it territory, I would even worry that we're going more into trafficking and coercion again. I think everyone should have a choice on whether they want to do it or not.
Yeah, that's true.
And it should always be a case of people that want to do it. And I agree with you, the social stigma is not going away. But I do worry that legalization of prostitution would actually reduce the stigma a bit, because there's a little bit of understanding. The fact that we're having this conversation is happening because of some of what we've seen with online creators like OnlyFans creators. And what has happened there is that a lot more people is empathizing with them and opening to do it, because guess what? Money makes the world go around. And now that the information and what they make is becoming more and more public, it's changing how much stigma they face. It's changing how much commodification is happening. For example, Camila Araujo or so, she's an OnlyFans creator. I don't know if this is true, but she made pictures indicating that she was invited to the Met Gala. The Met Gala is supposed to be an elite of the elite kind of event, right? And now you have an OnlyFans creator saying, I was invited, I was there, right? And talking about social stigma. However, this is not going to stay. Maybe it's still the case because there's still a little bit high level of social stigma that allows people that are in it now to actually make unreasonable amount of money. If you fast forward and look at countries like Thailand, where they have it legal in places like Pattaya, I've seen people that are the most open-minded people in the world go to Pattaya and come out and say, this does not make sense. It cannot be like this.
Yeah.
You're walking on the street and 15 ladies are like, come, discount, 15 of us. Like,
I've seen
this
videos.
is wild. Exactly. So I also see a scenario where if it becomes legal, there's a moment where the stigma is reducing, because they're making a lot of money, because by a lot of people are empathizing. It also includes selling feed pictures online. And I will get into the selling feed pictures online thing, because it's sexual for some people, but it's absolutely not sexual for me. I would put on every ring light and take pictures of my feet if someone is willing to be
it's going crazy on OnlyFans.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big deal, but even though I can't understand it, but it's linked to a sexual fetish. And That's very interesting. But anyways, my point is the legality would reduce the stigma, more money, they keep making money, everyone is patronizing, blah, blah. And it will get to a point where the diminishing return will be smashing. Because it would take a lot to stand out to be able to make good money off of it. Because a lot of people will go into it and the stigma will come back again because they will have very little negotiation position to even make a living out of it.
I feel like that is true, definitely. But what I also think is that it's more true for OnlyFans, for example, than traditional prostitution. I also want to make it clear that I feel, I absolutely also want to say that I don't think the shame should go away. Because what do we then have when we lose our moral on such sensitive or private thing, when it becomes a commodity?
No disrespect to any religion, but if I understood Garden of Eden correctly, it was a time when we felt no shame for being naked, right? So Adam and Eve, they did not know
They
that
were
they
not
naked.
going around
It was just-
banging each other.
Who's to say they didn't?
I don't know. I'm not that. I
You
don't know.
understand?
Yeah.
And then suddenly they ate the apple and they recognized what shame was. So now if we take away all that shame and we can all move around naked, in fact, there's a new law now in Germany. Women are now allowed to be shirtless in public pools, right? And this is what I'm telling you about the lobbyists in Germany. They basically lobbied the government saying it's unfair. Men are allowed to be shirtless. So why shouldn't I be? Some people were making the argument of they should have just went for men should also wear swimsuits that cover their chest. But instead they went the other way of women should be allowed to wear swimsuits with their chest open, just a bikini pant or whatever. And a lot of commenters are like, I need to book my ticket to Germany as soon as possible. Because wow, But the point that I'm making with that is when we strip off that shame over the course of several years to come, we might actually end up in a Garden of Eden type of situation where clothes are absolutely not used to cover your body, but to make a different statement. Kanye West's wife. And she's
for me, it's even about the slippery slope that I feel like is inevitable when the shame is gone. And OnlyFans is doing more of that in removing the shame. And I don't think that's good for society, right? Because I would argue that prostitution in itself, I don't think anyone who is into the traditional prostitution would be proud of that, would come publicly. Maybe porn stars, they've done that before OnlyFans age, right? They would come out and be like, oh yeah, they have a celebrity, whatnot, and this, cool. But like people who are not like famous, who are like in the corner of some brothel in whatever city, I don't think they would go to like a family dinner and be like, oh yeah, today was a good business, I had like 30 customers or like whatever. Like, it's still something that is quite frowned upon. And with the likes of like OnlyFans celebrating that, I think that's a problem. So going back to the statement you read, I feel like, yeah, for sure, that actually makes sense, that when they do make it legal, that there is this less shame and acceptability and becoming a commodity that happens with that, and that's a solid point.